you would be prepping all week for Arch Manning to start this game against Ohio State?
100% I say with my chest. Here's why.
It wasn't a Quinn Ewers disaster class.
It wasn't a disaster, but it's rather what he doesn't bring that Arch brings.
Sure, but like in a scenario now, I would have loved to see Arch for a couple of plays at least. I was surprised we didn't. But it's to one of those things where you can't. Sark knows, Quinn knows, Arch knows that it's his team until he's actually hurt or he's gone or Texas wins the national championship, which I think is continues to be the right call.
I disagree.
So you're saying if you were Sark, you would be prepping all week for Arch Manning to start this game against Ohio State?
100% I say with my chest. Here's why. The reason why the Ducks got killed is because Dylan couldn't do much off script. They said no easy throws. We're going to take away your first read. Now, Jim Knowles had a historical plan, and I'm not too sure what that was, but again, what I will say is he just took away the simple reads for an offense that is timing based. Texas is the same way.
For the most part.
Texas is the same way. And so if you can't create off script, you're probably toast. And that's my fear with Texas, is that Knowles now knows what to do versus these quarterbacks who really are timing based. Honestly, dude, I think Texas gets blown out.
So let me ask you this question. So Knowles obviously made the adjustments, having already played Oregon, having known what they want to do. And you're saying the Oregon kind of offense is similar to Texas in that the quick read ball wants to get out. But I'll counter you with Sark now saw in this game that something needs to change in terms of scheme of when we do get our first and second reads and quick throws taken away. And let's be fair, they were unable to run the ball all day long. I think Sark is going to dial up a similar game plan of a masterclass in response to seeing what this team was unable to do. And you've talked about it as much as anyone of being a Sark believer. And this is a game where if you're a doubter, you're on Sark, but if you're a believer like you and I somewhat are, you believe that this Ohio State game is going to look a lot different than the ASU game. I've been around sports too long and been betting on sports too long now to just believe in that, where Ohio State looks like the national champion, but they still have to win 2 more games. We've been around it too much, man.
Yeah, but my thing is they've clicked. There's sometimes teams just click. This team clicked, and there's obviously been a philosophical change. What has that change been?
Throw the ball to 4.
Exactly. And folks will just be like, folks might even skip this part, once they just heard what we said, because they're like, obviously, but no, it's different because if you've been watching this Buckeyes team all year, Jeremiah Smith obviously has made great plays. He's been a factor in games, but they haven't exclusively treated him like a Jamar Chase is, where he is your game plan. Versus the Vols in the Rose Bowl, they made an effort. They made a point. We're going to dial up plays for 4 in a relentless way. He is our guy. What did that do? It set up the running game so well, particularly in the second half, to where Oregon was just at a loss of scheme because they were like, well, what do we do?
He's so fucking good. It's there's stats and then there's when you watch the game. And I hope actual sports fans and avid college football fans just go back and watch the Jeremiah Smith highlights of this game. 187, 2 touchdowns, and he was kind of in cruise control for the entire game. If that was a close game, he probably would have had over 200 yards receiving, double-digit receptions, and they would have been looking for him almost every single time.
Did you see how easy his burst was on the
Bro.
second play of the game when he took it 54 yards? It was Julio Jones-esque for sure, but he also kind of with that burst reminds me of Chase in the sense
Yeah.
that both guys don't really look like they accelerate that fast, but then you just watch them, they see
Run
a
right by
gap
you. Yep.
and they hit it like a train, and then it's like, oh, wait, this guy's unstoppable. This
Or
guy is unstoppable.
or like in the third or fourth possession of the game when Will Howard essentially just threw it up.
On
And I
that
thought,
corner route,
yeah, on the corner route
it was that
where
corner
I
route.
thought it was going to get picked. And I was like, Will Howard, what are you doing? And all of a sudden, Four's hands just keep going up. And it's like he'd been doing it his entire life, which he probably has. He's only 18 years old, but it looked just unbelievable,
Dude,
man.
looking at his face is the funniest thing because it's
Bro.
like this kid actually looks like a kid.
Yeah, like he was
Like,
doing algebra a year ago. Ohio State, I'm saying this at the wrong time. They look awesome. They look like by far and away the best team in the country. By far and away what Ohio State donors, fans, coaches, whatever, wanted them to look like all year. My thing is, I get Texas hasn't clicked. They haven't really impressed anybody by any stretch of the imagination, but I still think the talent level and the ability to win games is still there, and it's extremely hard. It's hard for college teams to play their best 2 games in a row, let alone 3, because Ohio State came into this college football playoff with extreme doubt from the rest of the world. Of you lost to Michigan, you're not playing against Oregon in the Big Ten championship game, and they beat the shit out of Tennessee, and the rest of the
fires me
world,
up, dude.
and the rest of the world's like, oh, okay, can they do it again? They effing did. They beat the brakes off of Oregon. Now all they're hearing in their ears like, you're the best team in the country. You're the best team in the country. And I don't know if that's good for this Ohio State team heading into a game against Texas where all they're hearing this week is ASU should have won. ASU is maybe the better squad. How are they going to stack up against Ohio State? Like there's narrative behind that, and a narrative not always contributes to what we see on the field, but with college kids, more often than not, it can.
So it's a good point. Texas kind of feels like a glitz and glam, and the Buckeyes feel like these guys have a deep bond. They essentially feel like the Navy SEALs, while Texas kind of feels like the the cadets. Like Texas feels like this.
Clip this for when Texas beats Ohio State because I need that. He said Ohio State feels like the Navy SEAls, and the Longhorns of Texas feel like the cadets.
Cadets. That was one of my better quotes. Like that was pretty dope. On
Clip
TikTok,
it for
I'm
when the
gonna
Longhorns get it done.
yeah, I'm gonna get completely ripped.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
folks will be like, go and die. Like, that's just how folks are.
That was awesome though.
The Buckeyes talent, chemistry, coaching. The Horns have talent, an arrogant, good coach, but I don't feel like, from an outside perspective, the chemistry is the same. I have some notes on this Buckeyes team, and it's like pretty extensive. You could see it here. It's like all like nerdy stats, which I may or may not get into right now. The key here, 21 years of starting experience on this Buckeyes defense. We're only talking on that side of the football. The average 247 rating is 97. 97. That's a 5-star. They
on
do
the defense?
legitimately, yes, strictly on the defensive side. Offensively, it's not too far. Ransom and Downs as a safety pair, it's the best safety duo I've seen since Mark Barron and the other guy at Bama. I forget who that was, but they had Barron and then someone else who can really cover. These two kids are special. You look at the defensive front, Sawyer, JT, and then Ty Leak at nose. I mean, I guess I can nerd out. They have a combined 98 overall 247 mark. Obviously, that's 5-star, but like that's like top 20. right? So those three combined. Just from those three, and by the way, they dominated that game.
Oh yeah.
Simon did too, but it was really those three. Like Sawyer, I don't know what his PFF grade from that game was, but it must have been like 88, 89 plus because he was just wrecking shit. They have 12 years collectively, all of which were on the Buckeyes, where they either started or they were legit rotation guys as true freshmen. I've never seen that. I have never seen that. So when you talk about chemistry, Texas has great players. Texas has experienced players. But the Buckeyes, all of these guys chose to come back. And now it's like after the Michigan game, what Knowles and what Chip did, right? There was a scheme change, but it's kind of more so for me. These dudes are confident.
The last thing I'll say about this game, and it definitely comes down to like maybe my naiveness in the Ohio State quarterback Will Howard, but he's played as flawless as you can play pretty much for 2 games, and I want to see him do it against Texas because hear me out, you can have the 12 best defenders in the nation, this, that, the other, and defense can win you a game, and they might just in this case, but do you trust Will Howard in a tight one against Texas with the best receiver in the country? Do you trust him to get the job done more than you do Quinn Ewers? And it's a rhetorical, but it's to the point of there were doubts about this kid coming into the season. There were doubts about this kid after the Oregon game. Not myself. He played a great game. He made one flawed decision, cost him the game, this, that, the other. And against Michigan, he was awful. Let's be honest. But in these last 2 games, he's been phenomenal. So,
and that's because of the philosophy and the scheme change.
So right. Let's see. I'm not doubting Ohio State, but let's see if he can get it done on the biggest stage in a Texas team where Texas and Oregon close in rosters. Straight up, Oregon probably gets them, but
Texas's defense
is one that Ohio State will not have seen all season long.
No, now they're versed on the defensive line front because Michigan has the best interior and probably just holistically the best defensive line in ball. It comes down to Barron, who won the Thorpe, versus Smith.
Yep.
There's a safety that Texas
Barron is a stud.
No, Barron's a stud, dude. Barron's a stud. He'll be a first-round pick. And Andrew Mukuba.
Oh, dude. All over.
I
love this Texas defense.
So he's not in any like top 50 of anyone's board. So far, I made my first board last night. I put him at 16. And that could be a crazy, crazy stretch. This dude is long. He's fast. He hits like a fucking hammer.
Yeah.
And his coverage skills are sick too. Yeah, this will be the best Texas. This will be the best defense the Buckeyes have faced. And it's an excellent point. Can Will Howard step up to the plate? I think Chip is on a heater. And I think he essentially just goes, we're going to ride with 4, but more so, we're going to test out this Texas front 4. What ASU did, right? The Horns have a very good front, but Kenny didn't shy away from running the football when it wasn't working because it's not a historic front. And I think these running backs are that good. I think they should come out running the football because it's a great point. Will has had the best 2 games of his life. The philosophy change to Smith worked. And you don't want the ball in that guy's hands 25 to 30 times. You want to keep it in that 18 to 24 range. He's taking deep shots. They're using the play action game. It's an excellent point, and I'm still riding the Bucks.
Yeah, sure.
I would bet the spread. But I also think if this game's close It's because Texas made Will's life very hard.